Who are you?
Well, it's a big question. Do you want to know my name or do you want to know who I am? Because that could take a long time.
Who are you?
I'm a 51-year-old woman, grew up in the suburbs in Burnaby, was marked for complete failure in life, went to SFU, worked in student radio when it was CJIVE back in the day, and eventually found my way into politics.
You are Christy
Clark.
Christy Clark. And Christy Clark, right off the bat, was this your first concert, really? The Pointed Sticks.
Wow. No, it wasn't.
At the Italian Cultural Center?
Yeah, well, it was. They were on the bill. DOA was the headliner on the bill. I mean, I'm trying to remember actually who was on the bill because Pointed Sticks were on it for sure. DOA was on it for sure. I think the Young Canadians or the Keithley, whichever they were at the time, were on it. And I don't know, maybe the Subhumans were on it, but I can't remember. But it was like this unbelievable show. We snuck out of the house, crawled out the window to go to the show. It was an all-ages show. And it was a Halloween night thing. And it was the first live gig I'd ever been to in a bar, like in a club kind of a setting. I couldn't believe it. Everybody was spitting at each other, which I wasn't really prepared for at the time. But I just was blown away, and I got into music after that.
Did you go to any other gigs?
Yeah, I mean, I went to see, okay, let me think. I saw...
At different locations?
Yeah, I remember the Young Fresh Fellows backed up the Replacements at the Town Pump. I remember that show. I think I saw Blue Rodeo at the Savoy way back. Savoy, I don't think was even open that long, but it was a good venue. I saw who else? Gosh,
Did you work at a record store?
I know what I saw. I remember I saw Ogre back up Mother Love Bone at Graceland, and that might have been the best show I ever saw in Vancouver.
Ogre, that's amazing.
Yeah. Ogre was quite a show. And then remember Andrew White, was he the lead singer of Mother Love Bone at the time? He comes out on
Andrew Wood, I think.
Andrew Wood, that's it. Comes out on stage and he's kind of chubby and he's wearing a shirt that doesn't cover his belly and it was super funny. It was a really good show.
Yes, I'm numb by the Pointed Stick.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Nick Jones, he was the lead singer of the Frank Five. Do you remember them? They would do every Sunday at the Railway Club. We're very sorry the Railway Club is closed. So that was and they were great, Frank Five, kind of, melodic, right?
I wanted to ask you about the Subhumans.
Yes. Jerry Hanna. Jerry Hanna was at SFU when I was at SFU. He'd been released from prison by then. And
the Subhumans are very interesting. Did you ever see them?
Unless they were on that bill where I saw that DOA show, I don't really remember if I ever saw them. It's terrible, hey?
Because there is a connection to you, Christy Clark, on this compilation, Vancouver Independence.
Yes.
We turn it over. What song do the Subhumans do right there?
Behind the Smile. That's the name of the book that Judy Tabji wrote about me.
Is there any connection?
No, she came, I don't know. Maybe she's a Subhumans fan. I don't know. That's great. That's funny. It's maybe I must have seen them play and maybe they saw that. Maybe I saw that song. Out of Line, that's the other one on this record.
Christy Clark, Behind the Smile by the Subhumans.
So that was your first question, right? Who are you?
You are Behind the Smile.
Who are you behind the smile?
And you are Christy Clark. And I wanted to ask you, Christy, also about this band right here, DOA, who we mentioned.
Yes.
This record is called Expo Hurts Everyone.
Yes.
And on the back, we have the song Billy and the Socreds.
Right. Wow, I've never seen this one before.
What can you say about the Socreds, etc.? Like, for instance, if we go way back, we see the Socred Blues.
Oh my gosh.
We see the
Citizens Association of BC.
We see the record of Evan Wolf in Vancouver Centre on the Bennett team.
Running with Herb Kaposi. Did he get elected?
And we turn it over, Herb Kaposi.
Now, Herb Kaposi got elected, but did Evan Wolf get elected? Do you know?
Well, I was curious, what is the difference between the Liberals and the Social Credit?
Big difference. We're a broader, more inclusive party, I would say. I think fundamentally, both of us would say we believe in growing the economy. We believe in jobs. We believe that part of the way to do that is to have lower taxes and, recognizing private sector's got to grow the economy. So we have that in common. But the world is really different now than it was in the 60s and 70s and 80s. But W.A.C. Bennett, he went and built a lot of stuff. He invested a lot of public money in building dams. We're doing that.
And you have his grandson.
And I have his grandson, Brad Bennett, running BC Hydro, and he's great.
What do you think, Christy, of this gentleman right here, Bill Vander Zalm, on the cover of CITR's Discorder?
I remember this. That's so funny. I think I might even have a copy of this.
What are your interactions with Bill Vander Zalm?
Well, my interactions with Bill have been varied. So I like him. Like he's the world's most charming guy, but he's just not always really consistent in his views, I think, But he's a character, and I used to interview him on my radio show at CKNW, and he was always good to have. Everybody'd want to talk to him. He would always he'd be prepared to be controversial. In radio, that's important. He's
a great interview, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. And you can't not like the guy, which was, but I don't think anybody's going to say he was history's best premier.
It's amazing you still have CITR's program guide, Discorder.
I know. I'm pretty sure I've got it in my pile of stuff in the garage. Well, I mean, this is classic politics, and that's what I always liked about punk rock, was that it's all political. And it's not all politics that I always agreed with, but it was all about people wanting to change the world, which is what I like about Joe Keithley so much. I totally disagree with him on lots of stuff, but he was also a great interview.
And now he is running for
the Green Party.
The Green Party.
Yeah.
He left the NDP.
Well, he didn't get an NDP nomination, right? So I think he sought an NDP nomination. They didn't want him to run for them, I think. And then he got a nomination for the Greens. And, good on him. He wants to go out and change the world. That's why people should run for office. To all your viewers, run for office. Doesn't matter what party you're running for. But
vote for Joey.
Well, maybe if you want to, if you like what he stands for, you should.
Going way back, Christy Clark, this Hogans Heroes, what does this play into Christy Clark's life?
Well, because Hogans Heroes used to be on at the same time that Gilligan's Island was on. And in my family, my brothers liked Hogans Heroes, and my sister and I liked Gilligan's Island. So we'd have a Titanic war every Wednesday, I think, when the two shows were competing against each other, about which we would watch.
I thought you liked I Dream of Jeannie.
I did. I did like that. Well, the fancy Jeannie outfit. She would, she was kind of sexy, I guess.
And I have another gift for you, Christy Clark, right here, an actual Whitecaps team song.
Wow, they still sing this at the games.
White is?
The color.
Soccer is?
The game. I was listening to Stiff Little Fingers record this morning because I was trying to refresh myself for our interview today, and I was realizing I don't know any of the words to any of the songs. And it doesn't matter in punk music, really.
They are all anthems.
Yes, they are.
Just like white is the color. That is for you, Christy.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Because you love the Whitecaps.
I do. I like the Whitecaps. I like soccer. I think it's a good game for, everybody can play it. Lots of girls play it. And, it's a fairly cheap ticket to go see if you want to take your kids somewhere.
You also love this band right here, The Specials.
Yeah.
What can you say about The Specials?
Oh, man. Well, it was that, great ska sound that they brought. It was so good. And I remember when I first got into kind of buying, the first record I ever bought was a Prism record, which my brother broke over his head because he thought it was so bad. And then the first real record I started getting into was I bought Clash records and I bought The Specials. And so this was a huge record for me. Yeah, I still listen to it. Monkey Man, Message to You, Rudy. I mean, all that stuff's, it's all been covered now by everybody else too. Nobody even knows where these songs came from, right? It's like Stiff Little Fingers. You listen to Green Day and it's just like, it's a total copy of what those guys did in the late 70s and early 80s. And nobody even remembers.
Or the Pointed Sticks.
Or the Pointed Sticks. It's true.
Christy Clark, I talked to you once before at the NDP Leadership Convention in the year 2000.
Wow, I don't remember that, Nardwuar. I apologize.
Who invented Glenn Clark?
Well, I don't know. I want to find who it was, though. I am determined to make this country safe for people named Clark again.
Now, would you now, as events they are right now, trade Gordon Wilson and Alexander Molgilny for Trevor Linden and Futures?
Ooh, futures. I think BC badly needs a future. I think BC will only get a future if we get an election. So you know what? I would trade a lot of things in order to restore British Columbia's future.
When was the last time you fantasized about Brian Burke?
Brian Burke. Oh, well, I couldn't tell you that.
And who's got the cheese?
The cheese? The most cheese? The cheesiest of the cheesiest? I would have to say the cheesiest politician in British Columbia's history would have to be... No, the cheesiest person in BC political history has got to be Faye Young. She's got the cheese. She's got the corner on all the cheese as far as I know. If anyone had as much cheese as Faye Young, well, gee, they'd never have to shop again.
I'm Faye Young. I listen to CITR Radio 101.9 FM UBC Radio.
All right, rock on.
Rock and roll. Let's have boogie. Nice to meet you.
And Miss Clark, one last bonus question here.
Bonus question.
Have you smelled alcohol on anybody's breath here today?
Are you kidding? This place, you practically don't have to have a drink in order to get drunk in this place. I'm quite shocked, you know. Everyone told me that New Democrats didn't know how to have fun, but apparently a lot of them were up very, very late last night. There was someone over at that table over there, I don't know if you saw it, but they were asleep on the table. Quirky delegates.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
You said that Fei Lung has the cheese.
Yeah, that's true. She wasn't really a politician, though. She was a kind of a stalker of politicians, wasn't she? She would go with the hat and talk to everybody. Yeah, she's pretty. But, you know, she's still around. She's still doing the same shtick. I think, you know, as I've met her a little more over the years, she does seem like a nice lady. You know, she's a bit of an oddball, but she's a nice lady.
Winding up here, Christy Clark, I would like to say, would you do the hip flip with me?
Yes.
You would?
Yes.
Because, of course, John
Kretchen
did the
hip flip. After you got him on the record on the pepper thing. Maybe he didn't know you were the same guy.
Oh, you remember that?
Of course. That was national news. Everybody still remembers that about him.
Do you think, though, that mace equals freedom? Some of the protesters were maced.
What do you say?
Some of the protesters were maced. Does mace equal freedom? Would you have been maced yourself back then, Prime Minister Chrétien?
But I don't know what you mean by that.
Mace, pepper spray, some other members
Oh, but
of the
I don't
media-
know. This technique did not exist in those days. For me, pepper, I put it on my plate. Next.
And, of course, Paul Martin did the
Hip flip.
and Justin Trudeau.
Hip flip.
And you will do the
Hip flip.
Yeah. Congratulations, Christy Clark. You have joined the Hip Flip Club.
I'm honored. Thank you.
And just winding up here, lastly, Christy Clark, I want to ask you about this record right here, the ICBC Blues. Do you have the ICBC Blues from 1976?
I don't have it yet. Now I've got it.
Michael Smith has said when you increase the rates of ICBC, it's like a tax hike.
Well, no. I mean, we're down. The rates for ICBC are as low as they've been. I mean, they continue to be low. They're about where they were, I think, in 1976 or something, if you look at how the dollars increased. But, I mean, everybody hates it when your ICBC rates go up. Everybody, including me.
Well, thank you very much, Christy Clark. Anything you'd like to tell the people out there at all?
Watch Nardwuar, Human Serviette. He's made a huge contribution. Can I give you something before we go?
Sure, go ahead. This is Christy Clark in action.
Because you gave me so many gifts. So for you, Nardwuar, I have a certificate of recognition for your outstanding service to the province of British Columbia, in particular, your service to the music community in our province. You've been part of what's held it all together all these years for 30 years. So I wanted to, on behalf of the province, say thanks.
Well, thank you very much, Christy. I really appreciate that. I mean, an actual framed plaque with the name Nardwuar.
Yeah.
That has got to be a first.
Nardwuar, the Human Serviette.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. This is amazing. Thank you, Christy. Why should people care about Christy Clark? Why should people care?
Well, people should care about who's going to elect them, or who they're going to elect. They should care about the politicians that are going to represent them, because we shape we do, have a big impact on shaping people's world. So people should care about knowing what I believe in, what all the other parties believe in, and then they should make a really well-informed choice about who they're going to vote for. And people will make their own choice about that. I'm not going to try and, persuade people one way or another. The most important thing is, though, get to know what everybody stands for and make a smart choice.
Well, thanks very much, Christy Clark. Keep on rocking in a free world, and doot doot doo.
Doot doot.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Nardwuar, I'm going to leave you like that. Don't touch him, he'll explode. Gotta get my shoes back on. Okay. See ya.